So lately, I have had this nagging shoulder pain, rotator cuff, like right there. There's a twinge here, and then behind me as well. You can see my guns, right? My body. This is all the years of hard work, by the way. I'm proud. Let me take a moment to, yeah, I feel pretty good. But this shoulder has been giving me a lot of problems for the last 2 months, and I think I caught it in one of my videos 3 months ago where I was walking and talking, and I started complaining about just kind of burning sensations and sort of like a stabbing, not stabbing, but like minor sharp pains on my shoulder blades. And this backpack is not that heavy either. And then I realized I've been holding the gimbal out like this as a dumbbell for nearly 2 years. I've been doing this. So, and most times when I'm doing my videos like this, walk and talk, your arms are extended, right? And I have worked out my muscle group already. And I realized that I'm still straining, I'm still working my shoulders. My arms are still holding. This is like it almost feels like a 10-pound dumbbell after you've done training, right? And so I have developed something, it's not even a name, it's just muscle fatigue, right? But also, this is in combination of the aging process, like the ailments are gonna show up. So I went to the doctor and got his advice, and after procrastination and dragging my feet like we all do, I finally got to the x-ray about 9 days ago. And just this morning, the good news came in, is that there's nothing broken, there's no dislocation of any kind, everything is intact, right? But the next step would be MRI to take a deeper look. But the good news is, we ruled out the near case, almost worst case scenario, because I wouldn't want to have surgery on my shoulders. It's the last thing I need right now, And so what I have been doing is I've been getting deep tissue massages for about an hour every 2 weeks or so, maybe every 3 weeks. And she goes in deep, man, to release the pain in the shoulder blades, right? When they really press down on it, for anyone experiencing this. And then she does my front as well. So half the time that I book is spent on the back, and then this side here on the front, and a little bit on the side too, because I'm experiencing minor symptoms on the left of what the right is experiencing. So then I put 2 and 2 together and started realizing that this is probably a combination of tendinitis, maybe some arthritis and wear and tear. But most importantly, what I didn't realize is that maybe I'm just not stretching out my shoulders. So I started doing deep stretches. Like it's almost like you're doing a pull-up, but you're on the floor and you're just stretching out both your hands as far as you can with your back sort of head down and stretching your back all the way out, stretching your shoulders, and started doing shoulder just mobility exercises and drills, even hanging on the pull-up bar. The weird thing is that I thought that I had torn my rotator cuff or something like that, but I never once heard a snapping sound. I never once really had experienced anything sort of tearing like that. And the pain would come and go in waves. But just these last 8 days, since I had the x-ray, ironically, the pain started subsiding, right? And then I started realizing that I haven't been doing shoulder presses, like, military presses. And then I came to the realization that I need to give my body rest, recovery, because I was doing military presses like every single day. So I was lifting. So there's a push-pull. Right? So I was doing a lot of the overhead dumbbells, and to finally realize, like, I'm overdoing this. So that was my body's way of saying that you are just not giving your rotator cuffs, your shoulder blades, your shoulders enough rest. And so then I dialed it. For almost 3 weeks leading up to the X-ray, I just didn't even do shoulders. Pull-ups was good enough for me. That was already giving me good delts, right? As you can see, like it's already giving me a nice shape here. So as soon as my shoulders started getting better, I started doing shoulder presses, like 35 pounds each, right? And lateral raises, and then flies, right? No pain. So then I started stretch because my legs, I can do the splits because of martial arts, years of training there. My body and my feet, my legs, my glutes, my groin, right? All of these stretches I've done consistently over the years. No real problem there, but my shoulders, I realized that I've been taking for granted is the stretching, the mobility drills, right? So the minute I started incorporating all of this combination wise, including rest, right, it started getting better. And so today it was negative. The x-rays came back negative. So my doctor made a joke because we're the same age. Welcome to the 50 club, right? And so then I realized, like, okay, these are the first signs of, wear and tear on your body. Now, how do you manage this? Because we're not spring chickens, and my expectations, I'm still training at a very high level, keeping in mind I've done a lot of combat sports over the years. I've been very active over the years, right? So capoeira, Brazilian martial art, requires a lot of ground play, ground movement, and exertion, right? Because you're upside down a lot. So I've done handstands and gymnastics over the years. Spent as much time as I spent on my feet, I spent studying how to move on the ground, handstands, everything on the hands, because your hands become your legs in capoeira, right? So we're upside down quite a bit. So all of that years wear and tear, and then I've also had a dance background. All of that to say that, yeah, there's gonna be some ailments, right? But then again, I'm not the average, so-called Gen X 50-year-old out there that's doing all these things, right? So this is life, and my, the higher power telling me that you have to give your body rest. So why did I tell this long story is because on one hand, I talk about laziness and training and this and that. Guys, walking is by far the best exercise you can give yourself. If you don't want to weight train, if you don't want to do resistance training, which I think is very beneficial for you as you get older because you want to hold on to your muscle mass and increase your protein intake. But walking is the perfect exercise and a start to any fitness journey, any wellness being, because look at what I'm around. Like as I have talked about endlessly in all my work, how beautiful walking is. So walking is where you can start. You don't have to lift heavy weights. You don't have to train like a maniac and overtrain your body. So I came to the realization, okay, I got to train smarter, I got to rest more. Sleep also is a great way for recovery, right? And you just got to be mindful. You don't have to go 101 miles per hour and train at that savage levels to be in great shape. In fact, I tell my story on this channel, on the hernia playlist, of how I began to train smarter as I started getting older. And as a result, I started looking younger, right? So you detox, you get your fluids in, right? You reduce your alcohol. I'm not even lifting a whole lot heavier. I can do 200 push-ups every single day, and most days I'm doing 200 push-ups. I do squats reasonably, nothing crazy, no barbells, nothing like that, but dumbbells, right? Just kind of hold it here behind the back, or the front squats, right? Get the glutes activated. The basics, essentially, like to have a strong body, because I also play soccer, right? And I'm feeling the nicks and tucks on my knees, ankles, but it's nothing crazy where it limits my mobility. I still can sprint like a mother, so especially incline sprints. So I think what also kind of stumped me is getting my ankle injury. It's been nearly 3 months now since I had that ankle injury, and there's little piece of swelling going on there that subsided significantly But before I can give this full throttle, I want to recover so that when I do press the on switch, I am, full throttle, I can go. So, but all of this in perspective to say that do not ignore your mobility as you start getting older. A lot of people start going so hard in weight training and strength training that they fail to realize that their coordination, their athleticism is already lost. So if you were to get into a situation, you don't have any coordination, any bounce in your feet, no rhythm, right? So stay in tune with your rhythm, center of gravity, right? Knowing your awareness and the timing, the combination of things. And yes, these are martial arts concepts, but also dance is rhythm, right? A lot of people lose their rhythm, which is why when a situation happens, people are swinging haymakers because they're panicking, they have no sense of control, no sense of balance, and they're relying on that 1-2 punch to get lucky. See, the real fight starts after 10 to 15, 20 seconds have passed, and your stamina and your gas start getting, the bluff starts showing up if you haven't prepared for it. I kind of went off there on a tangent because it's just martial arts, and I love the concept of, coordination and balance, Mr. Miyagi. So, but hopefully this story helps, and anyone experiencing that early onset of arthritis and wear and tear in your body. I don't have a background, nor am I certified in sports medicine, but I have trained myself out of situations and have found alternative ways to train smarter, right? There's a reason why I am existing the way I am and presenting myself the way I am and showing you a final product of who I am. You may not see the pain. You may not see that this is burning right now or whatever, right? It's actually not burning. I'm actually doing fine. And this is my affected shoulder, and I'm able to hold the gimbal fine. So I'm very happy to even have the ability to do this. Just on the last note is like, you don't know what you have until it's gone, right? I strained my back a few days ago because I was rushing to work, but also rushing my training, my 5 a.m. routine training. And I was rushing so quickly to get through it. I was taking my body for granted, and I was feeling loose. I was feeling, athletic, and I had that bounce in my step, but my back tightened up. And it's been about 3 days. That was giving me issues, right? So these are, and even though I stretch my back and, I'm on top of my stretching routines, I could always do better. I think what I take for granted is the fact that I'm really flexible and that somehow this is gonna last forever, but no. You gotta keep chipping away at your craft, keep chipping away at your body, and it's not necessarily about having abs, it's about having you for you when you need you, and you're having your body function when it needs to, and when you can turn that switch on. That's functional training. That's more realistic, right? And if you want to train for your abs and all of that, that's next level stuff. You really got to dial into your diet and all of that stuff. That's next level. But a lot of us are not where we want to be, is because of the choices that we're addicted to, especially the toxic habits. So the mobility piece, the stretching piece, I would say, is just as important, if not probably more important, before you get to the weight training part. Okay, folks, I'm gonna try to wrap this one up and make my way back. I'm losing lighting fast, so it's good to be back in this familiar trail. No going out tonight. I'm probably gonna call it the night early. I did want to come out and record the videos here, and also welcome the few new subscribers to the channel. And if you're enjoying the content, I would love to hear from you. That's all I have, guys. Kind of winding down myself. So till the next video, thanks for being here. I appreciate every single one of you. Find some inspiration here. Until the next one, Mamba out.